Hi besties, it's Joanne here again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to be showing you guys how to sew this beautiful dress you're seeing here on your screen. I have already posted the cutting tutorial of this dress. So if you have not seen that, please do well to check out on my channel. I'm going to be putting it in the description box down below. So guys, if you're interested in something like this, kindly stick around and watch this video to the end. Now let's get right into the tutorial. So guys, I'm going to start by joining each of these panels you're seeing here. So this one here is the front block, and notice that I folded in 2.5 inches. That's for the bottom placket. So this one here is the one I'm going to be using for the gathered. There are two, the pink one and the ash color. Okay, so firstly I am going to open this up to the right side and show you guys how I am going to be folding this up. So I am going to place it this way and fold in half of an inch and refold 1 inch. Okay, have you seen how I did this? So you're going to fold in half of an inch and fold 1 inch in again, and with that you're going to be running a straight stitch, all right, from the down here all the way to the top part. That way you have succeeded in creating your bottom placket. Once I finish pinning this, I am going to take this to my machine and run a straight stitch from this top part here to the bottom part, and do the same thing for the second piece. And now when you open this up, this is what you should have on the right side of the fabric. Okay, then go ahead and do the same thing for these other parts. If you're working with this type of fabric, then I advise you give it a good press before you head on to your machine to run a straight stitch to create your bottom placket. Hope you understand. So I'm going to take off these pins now, and I'm going to be ironing these very well so it lays properly. And once I finish ironing, I am going to create my bottom placket by folding in half inch and 1 inch again. Okay, then after that I am going to place right sides of both the front and the back facing each other, and I am going to be stitching the shoulder area by just half of an inch. I'll do the same thing for the second part as well. Place right sides facing each other and sew the shoulder area by just half of an inch. I'll do that and show you guys next thing to do. Now I have sewn this part here for the bottom placket, and this is what I have here. I went ahead to also give it a good press, and I also stitched the shoulder area. Notice that I stitched the shoulder area by just half inch. Okay, then after stitching, you notice that the seam around the shoulder area, it's not going to align. Like the front part is going to drop by 1 to half inch. Okay, so never mind, leave it that way and just go ahead and align the sides so that you go ahead to stitch it. Before you stitch the side, you have to stitch the sleeve. Okay, so just fold in your sleeve like this. I'm going to take this to the machine, and I'm going to be folding in half inch and 1 inch inwards, so making it a total of 1.5 inches. Now this totally depends on the amount of allowance you kept while cutting your sleeve. If you're going to take note of that as well. So after sewing that, I am going to go ahead and also turn to the wrong side of the fabric and stitch the side by just half of an inch. Make sure you align the side very well and go ahead and stitch by just half of an inch. Do the same thing for the second part and give it a good press. Now after sewing the sides and the sleeve, this is exactly what you should have. Go ahead to give it a nice press so that you have a very beautiful result at the end of the day. Next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to be working on these two pieces here That's what I'm going to be using to attach to the upper bodice. Now for this one here, to determine the width of this one here, you're going to have to take times your waist measurement by 3 or 2, depending on how much fabric you have. Okay, if you have enough fabric, you can do times your waist measurements by 3, and go ahead and do the same thing for this one, but make sure that the width of the last piece should be wider than the first piece. I hope you understand. So now I'm going to take this to my machine and run a gather stitch on the edge of this fabric. I'll do the same thing for the ash color as well. Now when I measured this up, what I had was 1 yard plus, I had 1 yard plus like by 28 or 29 inches. So I had more than enough to go around the waist and to gather it as well. And this one was wider than the pink, since this is what I'm going to use for the lower part. I just ran a gather stitch, and I'm going to head on to pulling, gathering this up to attach to the upper part of the bodice. Now gather this up to the actual waist measurement of this top part, okay, or this upper part. Once you've done that, you're going to place this one like this, making sure that you've closed up the button placket, not necessarily sewing it to close it up, but just place the button placket well, align it like this, and use your pin to secure, because you're going to be stitching closing up the waist area. In other words, this button placket is not going to be open around the waist area. And when you're cutting this, please make sure that you add allowance on your ease allowance on the waist, because there won't be zipper at the back and the waist area will not be open. So if you want your dress to fit, please make sure that you add enough ease allowance around your waist area. So this outfit is not meant to be tight on your waist area. I hope you understand. Now once I've done that, this is exactly what I have here. I am going to bring this second piece and attach to the waist area. I'm going to head on to my machine and close up the side of this second piece. Okay, I'm going to sew here from this top part to the lower part by just half of an inch. Once I've done that, I am going to attach it to the waist area of this upper piece. Hope you understand what I mean. And then the second one, that's the last piece, you're going to attach the last piece to the down part of the second piece. At the end of the day, you're going to have 3 pieces. Okay, it's going to be the top, the second, and the last piece. I hope you understand. Now after stitching this onto the upper bodice, this is what I have here. As you've seen here, I have closed up the waist part of the button placket. So this is what you should have as well. And for this one here, notice that this gather stitch is fuller on the down part as compared to the second piece. Okay, now that's what you should have as well. Now for this one here, I'm going to be sewing the collar. Just go ahead and measure the neck, your neckline. Okay, measure the neckline you have, measure around the neckline, whatever you have, take note of that. So now I am going to start with the drafting of the collar. Get a pattern paper like this, and then from the down part of this pattern paper, I am going to go up by 1 inch. I'm going to do the same thing on this part, go up by 1 inch. I am going to now take a straight rule to connect these 2 points into a straight line. Now I have gotten the width of my collar stand, and I'm going to determine the length now, which is 10 inches. Then that's unfold. Once I open that up, it's going to be 20 inches. I hope you understand. So the width of the collar stand is 1 inch and the length is 20 inches. Now I marked 10 inches because I am going to be cutting my fabric on fold. Next to, I got the midpoint of 10 inches, which was 5 inches. I made a mark there, and from the down part I came up by 0.25 and I connected it to the midpoint that I marked earlier. So this is what I have here for the collar stand. I am going to go ahead to label this as the collar stand. Now I am going to still draft the actual collar on this pattern paper. Now from this line I have here, go up by 4 inches. That will be the width of the main collar. I'll mark the same thing on this part. Now I'll take a straight rule and connect the 2 points into a straight line. Next, I am going to go ahead to also take the length or the neckline, okay, the neck measurement, which is 10 inches on fold. I'll do the same thing here to enable me get a straight line. Then I went ahead to use my straight rule to connect this into a straight line. Now I haven't squared this up. I am going to go ahead to come here by this part here is going to be the where I am going to attach to the neckline. So now on this part here, I am going to attach to the neckline. I am going to come down here by 1/2 of an inch. Now I'm going to connect it to this part here. So use your ruler and connect it all the way to that part, like so. So this is going to be out. Next, I am going to come here and extend this measurement to give us that sharp point on the front part of the collar. Okay, so I used a total of 2.5 inches. So if you like, you can use 3 inches. So I just made use of all the space I had on the pattern paper. Now I connected it back to this point. So on this down part here, I am going to also make a little adjustment. I'm going to come up here by like 0.75, okay, just to reduce the width of this collar on the back part. Now I'm going to connect it to this point here. So this is also out, and this now is the main collar. So guys, don't go anywhere. I am still going to alter this collar, so you want to check that out. So guys, this is the center back, and for the collar stand, that part also is the center back. Now for the main collar, I am going to also come here from this part that is going to be on attached to the neckline. I am going to come in here by 1 inch and connect it back to this point. Okay, this is just to define that shape around the front part of the collar. And now this is what I have here for the collar. I'm going to use this to cut on the main fabric and add the necessary allowance, but for the center back I am going to be cutting that part on fold. Guys, after cutting this is what you should have. So I cut 2 for each of these pieces here. and I cut them on fold on the center back. I added half inch all around this pattern. Okay, so guys, this is what the collar stand looks like. Once I open this up, this is what this looks like. Okay, and guys, it's not actually easy to work with this fabric. Yeah, you need a lot of patience to work with this fabric. Now this is for the main collar. I cut two pieces as well, and I cut the center back on fold as well. So this is exactly what you should have. And now I'm going to go ahead to stitch the side and the down part of this collar. So I'm stitch here and this part here and this part. Don't stitch this side. This is what we are going to use to fix on the collar stand when it's time. Okay, and after placing it, this is exactly how it's going to be. But first I am going to head on to the machine and stitch the collar area by the side and on the bottom part of this collar. All right, after stitching, I'm going to give it a very beautiful press and also show you guys what to do next. So guys, I have stitched this and I had to show you guys what I did, and I am going to go ahead to notch on different parts of this seam area. On the parts which I stitch, notch very close to the stitches, but make sure you don't cut through your stitches. Okay, then on the sharp points here, you're going to cut a little out of it and cut this side as well. All right, so and now I am going to turn this to the right face, and I'm going to give this a very good press. So guys, after doing that, I am going to iron this very well. As you can see, this is not relaxed. I have to really give this a good press. And once I was done ironing, this is exactly what I have here. You've seen how the collar is looking already. I'm going to go ahead and place this to the collar stand. So get the collar stand and know the parts which you're going to place this. Okay, to know the upper part and the lower part of this collar stand, you're going to know the parts which you're going to sew to your actual neckline of the main bodice, and know the parts which you're going to use to stitch on the main collar. I hope you understand. So go ahead and notch the midpoint. That fold the two together and notch on the midpoints for both the upper part and the lower part, as you've seen in this video. Do the same thing for the main collar. This is just to serve as a guide for you to know how to place your collar. So take your collar, the main collar, and place it right side facing the right side of the collar stand, and do the same thing for the second one. You've seen how I placed it. Please do the same thing. Now once you've done that, secure with your pin. Ensure that the midpoints align. The parts you notch, ensure it aligns together, and go ahead to pin that part on your with your pin, secure that part with your pin, and do the same thing for other part as well. And once you've done that, then you can head on to your sewing machine and stitch by half inch. So guys, this is how you're going to be stitching this. Okay, you're going to leave about half inch from this part here, and from there you're going to stitch and stitch on this part as well, and stitch here and leave half inch. Don't stitch to the end part. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to iron it. Okay, notch very well. See what I am going to do. So I had to just show you guys every step. So notch carefully. After notching, you're going to take to your ironing board and iron this very well. So this is what you should have. So you're going to place it this way and give it a nice press. So after ironing this, have you seen what I have here? This is already sitting very pretty. So I'm going to bring the dress now and fix the collar to the main dress. Indicate the midpoint of on the neckline, and once you've done that, check the midpoint on the collar, and you're going to be placing it like this. Okay, just fold it like this to determine the midpoint. At that point, you're going to place your collar on the wrong side of the main dress. And once you've done that, go ahead to use your pin and secure the collar to the main dress. Now do the same thing for other part of the neckline. So guys, this is what you should have. I love using my pin at this point because this will be a lot easier when I am stitching the collar to the dress. So go ahead and stitch by just half of an inch all around to this other end. And once you've done that, you're going to take this one like this, and you're going to be using it to finish up the neckline. Okay, so you're going to fold in half inch and finish up the neckline beautifully. So guys, I have stitched the neckline, the collar to the neckline, as you can see. So I finished this beautifully well, and I give this a good press. I am still going to iron this, guys. So this is what your collar should look like at the end of the day, and this is how you're going to be fixing your button. So you can fix your button anyhow you please. I'm going to just place one on the neckline here, and I'm going to place two more. Okay, and I'll be fine with three buttons. So go ahead to do yours anyhow you want. For now, thank you so much for watching this video, and see you guys in my next one.